Do I wear glasses? No. Am I wearing glasses just for the sake of this book themed video? Yes. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a little something different. We are doing a 22 books that you should read in 2022. Because me, I love books. Ever since I've been in about 5th or 6th grade, I love books. Once you get into a good book, nothing else will get done. I'm just telling you that right now. Nothing else will get done. So, like I said, today is all about books. You might be wondering, Hannah, this doesn't look like 22 books. It really only looks like 5. Well, I own a Kindle, and let me just tell you, don't get me wrong, I can go to Barnes & Noble and buy out the store, but books can get a little pricey, actual paper books. So I use my Kindle, so like pretty much half. Some of the books that I'm telling you about today are series, but about half of the books, a little bit less than half, I read them on a Kindle. So, needless to say, I don't have the book here to show you, but when I'm talking about or referencing a Kindle book, I will pop a little picture of the cover up on the screen so you can make sure that you're not reading the wrong book. Okay, anyways, we're just going to go ahead and get straight into this. Most of these are books that I read in 2021, so they're pretty fresh on my mind. Is there a glare on the glasses? Okay, we're gonna take off the glasses because I want you guys to see my eyeballs. I picked out only the books that I enjoyed, and I thought that others would enjoy too. Of course, some of them rank higher on the list than others. When I define a book as really good or like good, when I say really good, I mean that I literally could not put it down. Like literally to the point where I'm eating and reading a book. Or, oh my gosh, if I'm reading on my Kindle, my waterproof Kindle, I was literally reading in the shower. I was literally reading my books in the shower. That's one downside to paper, besides the cost. And because I use my Kindle, because I can get a lot of free books on there, which is really nice. So, I'm going to rate all these books for you. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I don't want to spoil any books for you guys. I'm basically just going to kind of give you a little bit of description. I'm not going to give you too much because some of these books, I personally think, are so much better when you don't read the description. Especially some of these thrillers I'm about to tell you about. If you don't read the description, alright. Let's go ahead and get into the first book. I'm not gonna lie, this one is very popular, and the reason I chose this, well, there's 2 reasons I chose this book. Number 1, when I read it probably around May of 2021. When I read it, I could not put it down. I really couldn't. When I was reading it, I was like, this is the best book I've ever read in my life. And I didn't think that I would like it that much, to be honest. And it's a very, very popular book and movie, and it's a series of 4 books. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it right now. Listen, but before you judge me, I know it's so trendy right now, and of course it's always been such a popular movie and book series. It's always been so popular. But let me tell you, years and years and years ago, I watched one of the movies and I was like, it's kind of like corny. And then my sister actually gave me these books because she was getting rid of them. And I was like, okay, let me read it, because I didn't have anything else to read at the moment. Needless to say, I started it one evening, because I didn't have anything else to do and I just wanted to read. I felt like reading. Oh my gosh, I finished this book probably the next day and I was hooked. Yeah, it was hard to take my eyes off the page. This is the type of book where I would stay up till like 3 a.m. reading. It was that good. Right off the bat, it's so good. But of course, once you get into all of it, it's so much better. And then, after that, of course, I had to watch all of the Twilight movies. So before this whole trend, before they came on Netflix, and it's like everywhere on TikTok, I bought the movies on Amazon Prime. I bought them, so I literally own the movies because I was like, it's only $10 more to buy it versus renting it, so I just bought all of them. And now they're all on Netflix, so, but needless to say, it's worth it in case they ever go off Netflix. I will have them. But this book, I don't even need to give a description. I'm sure you know what it's about. If you don't, where have you been? Anyways, just read it. Even if you've seen the movies, actually, I think once you read the book, the movies were made better for me. The movies are better after you read the books because you really just like know the characters more and you understand them. So yeah, Bella, you get to see all of her thoughts. I like her so much more as a character in the book than the movie. The books were not terrible. By the way, my boyfriend loved the movies. After I read all of the books, I wanted to binge all of the movies and I watched them with him and he was enamored. He loved them. I was actually shocked. Not to call him out or anything. I want to say he's Team Edward. I want to say. We might have to watch them again. Anyways, Twilight. I'm going to rate it for you guys out of 5 stars. I'm going to go with 5. There's nothing else really to say about this. Just read it. And if you have read them, read them again. But it's 4 books right there. So if you read those 4, yeah, it's Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn. First of all, I need this blanket on me. It's kind of cold. You pretty much have to read it. All right, let's chill. We're going to sit back now. Never mind, no we're not. Okay, so this one's Delirium. It's a 3-book series. I read the first book as a book and then I bought the second 2 on my Kindle just because it's cheaper, but I actually really liked it. It's one of those books where basically the government has some super strict rule or something. There's rebels and all that stuff. So this one, it's like love has been declared a dangerous disease and they have a procedure called the cure where it's basically where when you're 18 you have to take the cure. They still get married and stuff. They kind of like get matched. I want to say. It's been a while since I read this one. They get matched with someone, but like you don't love them, but you still have to get married in order to have children. But yeah, if you like those kind of books, it's really good. It's Delirium and then Pandemonium and Requiem. That series, I'd probably give it a 4.5. 4. The next book, I read all of these. It's a 5-book series. I read all of them on my Kindle. It's called The Selection, and there's 5 books. So the first 3 books are about this girl. She's in one of the lower castes, so she's more poor. There's 8 castes. Number 8 is like they live on the streets. Number 1 is like they're rich, you know. Actually, number 1 is the royal family, and number 2 is like the soldiers, and number 3 is like you're pretty wealthy. You're born into your caste. So there's that governmental side of it too, like the political kind of side. But there's also a lot of love in this one, which I actually surprisingly really liked that. And basically the prince has a thing called a selection when he becomes of age because he has to meet the queen, his queen that he will marry. And he takes, I want to say 30 girls, and you all sign up or whatever, and your family gets a lot of money if you are a part of it, so you get compensated for it. So that's a lot of people's motivations for signing up. And the main character, you know, she signs up. No, it's a really great, like, it's one of those books where you really think about the characters. Like, while I wasn't reading the book, I was actually thinking about the book. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil anything at all, but it is so good. The whole series. The last 2 books were not my favorite. Yeah, and honestly, you don't even have to read the last 2 books. The first 3 books are kind of like their own series in itself, and the last 2 was kind of like many years later. And it's not really about the main character anymore, so oh my goodness. They were really good. That was another book where I was staying up till like 3 a.m. reading it. And that was one where I was reading it in the shower. Next, I'm going to talk about this book. It's by James Patterson. It's called Unlucky 13. He basically has a whole series. I think it's the Woman's Murder Club series. I think it's basically what it is. This is the only one that I've read because I didn't really realize it was a series when I bought it, but it's a thriller. They're trying to catch a murderer kind of things. I don't really know if it's a thriller. I don't know what you define it as. Woman's Murder Club novel. It's more like FBI, kind of like detective stuff. But I would rate this one probably 3.5. And the only reason it's 3.5 because I didn't read the rest of the series, so I was a little bit like, who are these people? I still wasn't completely lost. Like, I was able to follow along because they explained some of it and everything, and it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I read it all the way through. It was good. All right, the next one. I read this one a couple years ago, but I read a lot of her books this year on my Kindle. So the first one, it was very popular a couple years ago. You know, it's a thriller. Basically, this girl and her friends go out to a cabin and a couple of their friends get murdered, and it's obviously one of the people out of the friend group. So, you know, her books are actually really good. Actually, the next few books are going to be by her because I read them. Let me tell you what, this one is probably my second favorite that I've read by her. So I would rate this one 4 stars. Let me tell you the one that was so good. My absolute favorite one, The Cellar. And let me give you a word of advice. First of all, if you're a little bit sensitive to certain topics, I would look up the book before you read it. But if you read The Cellar, I read that book and I didn't read a description on it. I was like, well, I've heard good things about it. So I was like, I just went straight into it. Don't read the description on it because I read the description after I read it and it kind of spoils a little bit. And it was so much better when I didn't read the description. So do not read the description and just start reading that book. Moving on, another book by her is The Lost. That one's more of like a kidnapping kind of thing. She makes a huge twist on it. So the next one, this book, my sister found this book because we were going to read a book at the same time. She found it on her Kindle. It was really good. I mean, so many twists and turns in this book. It's called The Wife Upstairs by Frida McFadden. That book was really, 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 really good. It was basically like this girl takes a job where she's a carekeeper. She takes care of a lady who was in an accident, and her husband was trying to find someone to basically just spend time with her, and you know, she has to get fed through a feeding tube and things like that. She can't really talk. So really good. A lot of twists, you know. It's like one of those books where you're like, I don't really know who I should trust. So you should read that one too. And she was such a good author, so I had to go get another book by her, and it was The Perfect Son. And then also One by One. One by One, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Not that it was bad, but compared to her other 2 books that I read, The Perfect Son probably 4, and The Wife Upstairs was 5 stars. All of those books are really good by her. Thrillers, just really good. And then another book by her is Want to Know a Secret, and that was also really good as well. Like, I was never disappointed with one of her books. I also read Choose Me. That was a really good book as well. I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't my absolute favorite book, but it was good, and I could sit there and read it for a while, you know. It was good. It was good, and I would recommend it. I didn't rave over it. The way that I rate books is I compare them to each other, so yeah. But now we are coming to a close because those are all the books that I've read and completely finished, and they were great. I would recommend all of them to you, especially, obviously you can see it was more of a thriller themed kind of thing, but that's the kind of books that I really enjoy. And they're thrillers to where even if I'm reading it in the dark at night, I'm still fine. Crime, murder, mysteries, you know, more like mysteries, things like that. I've always been a mystery kind of girl. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, when I was younger, was my absolute all-time favorite TV show, and all the movies and everything. Probably where I get it from. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the last 5 books. I'm actually on the first book of this series. I've talked about it in about 17 vlogs. I went to see the movie. It came out very recently, actually, and I fell in love with the movie, and then I found out, it was funny because while we were watching the movie, I was like, the way that this movie is like directed, I could tell right away that it was based off of a book. So I looked it up afterwards, and I found out it was a 5-book series. My boyfriend, shout out to him, got them all for me for Christmas. The best. And I haven't had a lot of time to read recently. Like, I've wanted to read so bad. It's kind of frustrating, but I've just had a lot going on. So when I get home and I have time to read, I'm pretty much just tired. I have not completely read this book. The few chapters that I've read, I can already tell it's gonna be so good. Already tell. And it's a fairly new movie, and I think that the rest of the movies will come out. You might as well read all the books before the movies come out so that you'll already have the books read and everything. I watched the movie first, the first movie, and I'm very excited for when the other movies come out because I'm assuming that they will. But I've just started this book and I'm already in love with it. But I just had to recommend it to you, especially because the movie just came out, so it's a fairly relevant book. This bad boy. 5 books in the series. I have them all up there. I don't think you can see it in the shot, but so good, and all of the books are big. Yeah, this book is like 700 pages. Oh my goodness. The movie was amazing, and the book is also very amazing, and the book is explaining it so much better. So if you read the book first, I think the movie can be a little bit confusing at the beginning. Actually, I take that back, it's very confusing at the beginning. The book is not like that at all. So if you read the book, like, it'll explain a lot of stuff better, and then you can go ahead and watch the movie after you read the first book or whatever you want to do. I'm so excited to read this whole series, and I just know I'm gonna love it and I'm gonna be hooked. That is going to be your 22 books to read in 2022. Some of those books were in a series, and also some of those books were on a Kindle, so I didn't have it to show you. Books are just, they're my comfort place, you know? It's so nice to just take a break from electronics and actually read, even though sometimes I read on my Kindle, but it doesn't feel the same as electronics, you know? But yeah, that's all of the books that I have for you. I've read more than that, but those were the ones that really stuck out to me. That is going to be it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please, please, please comment down any book recommendations that you have, because I'd love to know what you guys enjoy as well, or if you've read any of these books and you liked it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.